Welcome to Open Range. I'm your host, Gary Emina. Today we're going to be talking to Lance Hagen, who is a Burleigh County farmer and also a developer from Lincoln, which is a small town just east of Bismarck. Lance, I've had him on a few times, like talking politics. He tends to be a little bit more liberal than me on the political side, but he's got a lot of friends in high places, but he's also knows a lot of people. And I always like to get his perspective because sometimes we conservatives like to talk into an echo chamber and we hear the same thing over and over. And you know, I just think that we sometimes got to expand the way we look at things. And so, Lance, I want to have Lance on. So, Lance, welcome to Open Range.
Good to see you again, buddy.
Good to have you back. So, Lance, just so people know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you played football.
Where I wrestled. I grew up in Ellendale, North Dakota. Went to high school down there. Mike Schatz was my football coach 1 year down there. I live in Burleigh. I live in Lincoln now. I farm in Burleigh County. I also do real estate development out in Lincoln, commercial development and residential development.
So, Lance, I kind of joked with you about where you played football because I periodically, it's been a while since I've done the glory days, the old football jocks, and so we had Coach Schatz on, and you know, he's a Hall of Fame coach, state representative, you know, from New England. And you're in Ellendale, grew up and played football, and how you guys, I think in one of the shows we chatted about that with Schatz, and he was like 0-1 and 10 or something.
No, we were 0-9,
0-9. That kind of sounded like my football career at the Washburn Cardinals. We tied one game, and I think we won 1 and 2 years, so junior, senior year. Not a great little story. So.
I don't know if it was talent or coaching.
I hear you. Well, there went my rhino. We're going to talk about this little rhinoceros up here. It's an eraser where it's an eraser, so it's a rhinoceros. So, you know, Republicans are kind of always whining about rhino erasers. So this is my little green rhino eraser. But we'll talk politics a little later, but not yet. I'll talk a little bit about farming. So, Lance, you farm. How's the crop going this year? How do you feel about it? Because we had early rain, then it was dry, and then we had rain. And talk about your crops, a little bit about your operation and what you farm and what you plant.
Well, I farm mostly soybeans, and I farm all soybeans and corn this year. In the past, I've always had wheat. Wheat's kind of like having a scratch-off ticket now. You either got ergot or scab or something, and so I don't raise it. I didn't raise any this year. Maybe next year again. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but the market has to come higher on that. Our beans, everybody's trying to figure out why our bean yields are so much less. We had an early frost, September 5th. That hurt them. I think maybe, I don't know. I'm not an agronomist. I've talked to several agronomists about it, and we had an excessive amount of rain. I think maybe that hurt them. We were too wet. It's hard to believe in Burleigh County, but we were pretty wet, especially out in the Sterling area. Our corn crop is going to be light because of the frost we had. I shelled some out yesterday. It was 52.7 pounds. We got a little ways to go for it to dry down yet, at least my stuff. But overall, our bean crop's a disappointment. And I think maybe the sunflowers, the guys that had them were probably pretty good. But overall, it's going to be a disappointing year.
So, Lance, so what's a good yield, or what would be an average yield on soybeans, to give me an example of what you'd be looking at?
Well, unfortunately, Gary, we've got spoiled here in Burleigh County the last couple of years. You know, a lot of 40 to 50 bushel beans. This year, I think the beans are going to range anywhere from, if you got them in after the rain, because we had about 8 to 10 days of wet weather in there where we didn't get in the field. And if you got them in after that, they got frosted a little earlier. I think them yields will be anywhere from 15 to 30.
Wow. I had a crop right out front of my place up by Washburn Wilton, and we got the early frost. It killed my garden, and I saw the bean crop, talked to the farmer, and he thought he was going to get about 45 on that field. But
maybe.
But he got in really early, and he had harvested, got it up, and so I didn't really know it was good yield, but he said, if I get 45, I'll be thrilled, and he kind of thought that was about where it ends up. I don't know the facts of it, but.
Well, I think that Apple Creek Valley, everything through the Apple Creek Valley north to McKenzie up in there got froze really hard. My corn at Minokan turned white like in 2 days. I didn't think it froze that hard. And I drove out and boom, and I had it in early. I mean, we had 2/3 of our crop in before the rain. We had all our corn in. Way early.
So when you say before the rain, you mean that big 5-6 inch rain that we got? That's where you're saying is you got in early ahead of that. And
that boxed us out for about 8 days, depending on what kind of ground you were going on. I had some wheat stubble that we couldn't get back on that had a lot of rain on it, and farmers farm in a loop now. You don't jump around and do that, and just the way the field worked out in the loop. And we tried spraying it on a Thursday and got stuck 6 times, the wheat stubble. And we went back. Soil out here is different where I grew up. It's real light, dries out in a hurry. And we went back on Monday and seeded almost the whole field, but the problem was that frost nipped those beans bad. And that was about the 1st of June, and there's been years that we've been boxed out, and I seeded some beans in some low ground, and they made 45 bushels, and I seeded them the 15th or 20th of June. It's just farming. I've been at it a long time. Every year is different.
So I mean, that's really the reality of farming, is you have to take an average into it all, right? Because if you spend all your money in the good years, you're going to be troubled when you hit the bad years. So it's really the challenge of that staying at it. I always said I couldn't farm. The stress of the whole process of what goes with farming is a pretty, it's a roll of the dice, and then you got to deal with commodity pricing around the world that impacts everything, and you got what's going on with soybeans now in China. Let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, so far this year, China's bought 0 soybeans from us. They're buying all their beans from Brazil. They're putting a tremendous amount of infrastructure in Brazil. And as a matter of fact, this winter, I think in November, maybe if I can't go in November, I'm going to go in January, but I'm actually going to go to Brazil. I want to see what that looks like. Not that it's going to make any difference, but I'm a curious kind of guy.
Yeah. So really, you might head down to Brazil in January.
Yeah, I'd like to spend a month down there. And
have you been to South America before?
No, I've just flown in there when I was going to scuba dive in the Caribbean.
Okay, so that'll be interesting. Maybe I should have you. Maybe we can have you back when you get back to talk about that. Take some pictures, and I think I've had this. I've always wanted to do South America and spend time in Argentina and some of the big ranches and farms. I got friends that have done some business down there, but I've always been a little nervous because of just their political environment and the safety and.
Well, that's a big deal. You're exactly right. I was reading up on Brazil, and you don't go walking on the beach in Rio after dark. I mean, and there's different areas of that country down there. You get in the wrong area, you get shot, and nobody cares.
Well, a lot of them do speak English, but if you don't, and you get in spots, it's a challenge.
And so it'll be, but I really want to see. I mean, all my life I've heard about how Brazil is, competing with us for the last 30 years, 40 years almost, 30 for sure, 40 on how they're competing. And I'll be curious to see what agriculture really is like, and just more curious than anything.
I'm a grocery kid, grew up in my dad's grocery store and had it, but I know years ago Chile, they changed the way they could ship fresh produce, So growing up in Washburn, and Ellendale, these small towns, you never had grapes in the winter, you never had soft fruit. Now we have soft fruit year round because of like Chile, who raises this, ships it up, has a way of packaging it. So that whole South America, south of the equator, we should do more. I mean, I applaud what Trump's doing. I'm not sure I totally understand it. I'm trying to get the narcotics, but if you could get the corruption and deal with the narcotics and the drugs out of there to some degree, why would Americans spend more time in the southern hemisphere and then run into, so we could enjoy that part of our world that we live in? And we don't, because most people like myself, I think, are, saying, why would I take the risk of going down there? And so in your case, I hope you got a bunch of big, strong friends coming with you. Maybe you better let us know before you go, then we'll know whether you made it back. So.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to doing it. I've always been pretty adventurous, from skydiving to scuba diving but this actually does make me a little bit nervous, because I think we take for granted in this country, how safe we really are. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially in North Dakota. Yeah. I mean, down there, I think homicide's not a big deal. Yeah. Especially, I would think if you're a United States guy, it's like.
I just got back from Chicago a couple days ago, down there for a week. running around all week, and I was kind of joking. I said, "Where those 300 National Guard people are that Trump sent in there?" I'm going like, you couldn't hardly handle one block. I mean, that city is so. I was downtown the whole time, but I did drive, so it's a long drive, and leaves were turning. It was a nice drive, but.
You know, I think back, I think our country has changed a lot. We got a lot more gangs. We got things like that going on. And back 2 years ago, I remember when I was in Washington, D.C. lobbying, my friend and I, Al Scogan, were over in Georgetown, had dinner, and we walked clear back to the Capitol because he was a big walker after dark.
Wow.
I don't know if we do that anymore. I don't think
that's a long.
It's a long walk. Like,
that's a long
6,
walk.
7 miles.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
took us.
walk.
We went through the Vietnam Memorial, and we hit all the sites after dark.
And I was out, not too late, 9 o'clock, but it was after dark, having dinner, and we walked around a lot in that area. I didn't feel unsafe at all. I mean, I didn't, but I just think the whole idea of these blue cities and blue states that Trump's onto something about people being safe. And I mean, I love Washington, D.C. I like going to New York City. I like Chicago. I like California. But the idea, if they're not safe, we can't do it. So it's kind of crazy. So we're going to go to the break. We come back. I want to pick up a little bit on farm subsidies and just the whole idea of what you see the environment of agriculture. So we've been talking to Lance Hagen, a Burleigh County farmer, Lincoln developer. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hiraadza, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our living cultural center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Home on the Range offers a nurturing place for teens who may have just come from an unsafe or traumatic environment. Here, they receive therapy and education services centered around animals, and the surrounding nature provides opportunities for work, fun, and healing. Life skills learned at Home on the Range are carried with residents when they return to the community with new talents and a greater appreciation for themselves and others.
Are you dealing with arthritis, nerve and back pain, dry skin, or superficial wounds, but found no relief? Give Stewart's Natural Health a try. For over 4 decades, Stewart's Natural Health has been helping people and animals with herbal and natural oil lotions, ointments, and creams with a mission to help you relieve pain and feel your best using the power of nature. Discover the safe, drug-free solution to your pain, guaranteed or your money back. Visit stewartsnatural.health today.
West River Equipment of Mandan is here to help you maintain peak productivity in your operation. As an authorized dealer for many high-quality equipment lines, we have the new and used equipment it takes to make your farming, ranching, or construction operation profitable and efficient. West River Equipment also has the parts on hand and the experienced technicians in our shop to get your equipment back in action fast. Find what you need at West River Equipment on Old Red Trail in Mandan.
Welcome back to Open Range. I'm your host, Gary. I'm going to talk to Burleigh County farmer Lance Hagen, and been involved politically and lobbying and developers. You got a lot of background. So Lance, sometimes sometimes we have guests and these are newsmakers or these are politicians but sometimes just people that are out there doing life like you're doing, farming, doing developing, have a broad context. I like these kind of conversations because it's just an average Joe, and that's what I am, just an average Joe. That's why I treat the show as such, what we do on Open Range. We just have these conversations because there's things going on in people's heads. In my head all the time, I'm running, how's this working? And how's the crop doing? Or how's politics going? And so before we talk about subsidies a little bit, let's just give me your perspective on soybeans a little bit, where Trump, this whole tariff. I did this thing with Dick Armey. I've had him on, former House leader.
That. Yeah,
and I did 6 hours with him on Friday night, 6 hours in a row. And it was interesting because Armey's a free trader. He's a world-class economist. But he kind of is okay with Trump doing this tariff stuff because he said the world's gotten so out of whack because we've allowed ourselves to be abused and put all this burden on all the taxpayers and all these North American citizens who now have all this massive debt, generations dealing with. And so when I found out that he was okay with it, it kind of surprised me because people are rethinking the world a little bit and saying we've been given too many handouts for way too long.
Well, I agree. We have been abused, no doubt about it. When I was doing a lot of lobbying and back 20 years ago in D.C., it used to drive me crazy when I would sit there and listen to people talk about, well, that's not WTO compliant. And I'm like, WTO compliant, we got to look out for ourselves. So I agree, but I also, Gary, don't think that you can't fight with everybody. Now, you're in the retail food business. You can't fight with all your customers. You can't just blatantly go in there and just beat up on them all because then all at once you may be the biggest guy in the room. But if you're taking on 10 little people, you're not so big anymore. Yeah. All at once the 10 little people combined are bigger than you are. So I think that's a very fine line, and I think it plays well with the people that are like, well, America, we're perfect. Well, now we've got Canada shipping wheat to Mexico. I just saw the Prime Minister down there a month ago or whatever, standing with the Mexican president. We've got all kinds of those things that are going to happen. The world is changing. I think we got to be careful when we're doing some of that stuff. The dollar's been the standard, the monetary standard in the world forever. Well, tell me why the price of gold has doubled and silver's doubled in the last. Silver's went from $24 to $54 or $53, whatever it was the other day. It's not working very well because the deal is North Dakota, we still run off raw products. That's what our state is built on, raw products. Oil, soybeans, corn, wheat, even wind, Gary.
Well, we got plenty of that. I wouldn't mind exporting a little bit of that to Minnesota. Rather than sending the electrons over, I'd rather send a little bit of that wind over their way. Lance, I think one of the things that I think is kind of fascinating, though, to your point, is I like wine, so I drink a glass of wine, but I just read an article over the weekend about the wine industry's in trouble in California because they've had a couple good crops, but our biggest exporting nation is Canada. And they have bought virtually zero wine. A massive amount of wine gets exported to Canada, and they just said we're not exporting. So the numbers are down like 95%. It's killing the wine industry. So there are consequences for some of these actions that Trump's taken. And short term, it hurts people, but they can recover a little bit if it has a long-term strategy. And sometimes I get a little worried that Trump's a little knee-jerky, and you never know what he's up to, and I'm not sure he does sometimes.
And he doesn't because he reacts. And politics has always been reactionary, and it's not good. We go from one side to the other side all the time in politics. It might take 10 years, 20 years, whatever, but we've done that my entire life and yours too. We've seen a lot of it in politics.
So let's talk about farming. Let's talk about subsidies and crop insurance. And we were talking a little bit about it before you came in. That's part of the reason I wanted to have you on, because people are harvesting. So you take how the government, my father-in-law who spent his career in the Extension Service, and he said America's always had a cheap food policy.
And absolutely.
So we've subsidized agriculture so people can have, food reasonably affordable.
Right.
Obviously inflation is kind of weird right now, but so talk a little bit about it. What does that mean to a farmer when they talk about subsidies and the implication? Because you've lobbied, you understand it. You've been to Washington. You've been at the Capitol working with those guys, and men and women, of course. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I kind of waffle back and forth on that a little bit. We have had a cheap food policy in this country, and that's when we get subsidies, people are complaining about the price of groceries at the grocery store. But we have inflation go on in this country every day. It goes on. It's, we're locked in at 2 to 3% inflation, so that means combines go up, tractors go up. The guy working on your tractor gets paid more. And it pains me when I go to the grocery store and walk out of there with a little bag with $60 in it, But I don't think, and that's why Trump is coming with this multi-billion-dollar tariff bailout, is to keep the price of food, because people get mad. Everybody gets mad over that when their groceries go up. But from the farmer's perspective is, my expenses are, equipment expenses and repairs are crazy. I mean, anybody who takes their car in to get it worked on, take that times, I don't know, if you have 10 pieces of equipment, take that times 10 pieces of equipment, what you have in repairs. My repair bill runs about, $20 an acre. I don't run new equipment because I went through the 80s. And a lot of guys that are 50 years old farming right now never went through the 80s. And I'm going to tell you one thing, the 80s were tough. We had the highest delinquency rate of any county in the nation in federal land bank right in Dickey County. I watched the price of land go from $535 an acre to $265 an acre, and that's when the bankers start to get nervous. Now, I think that the soybean subsidies, that the billions of dollars, people have to understand that China is our biggest customer. And they have said no. They've pushed back and said, no, we're not going to buy anything from you guys. We're going to put our money in Brazil. And it may not be in our generation where we get that back. There's a lot of sure people about what's going to happen here, and this is all going to magically, people are going to kowtow to us. I don't believe that might be true.
So let's just say soybeans is a big thing. But, 20 years ago, nobody's planting soybeans, right?
Well, yeah, in Dickey County, we raised a lot of sunflowers. I think our big flip over was 1998, or 99, one of the two. In 97 or 98, we had a bunch of disease come in, and people couldn't get rid of their sunflowers. We had a thing called scarlatina in it, so then we flipped to beans. Like, we had 100,000 acres of sunflowers and 20,000 acres of beans, and then we just flipped over the next
I just
year.
wondered if we couldn't redirect, farmers couldn't redirect what they're planting. Obviously there's rotation that you guys do. I don't quite understand it, but the idea is, if that's what China, and that's who we're fighting with, because long term, China's a problem.
Right.
They subsidize all the stuff. Their goal is to wreck the automobile industry. And that's what their goal is, because that's where, if we go to war, we need all those factories running to make missiles and everything, So there's a lot of crazy things that China wants to do is destroy us. And so for them to pivot, so Trump's pushing back, and I'm not sure, I don't have enough background on it, but so I just thought, just being an average Joe in the street, I thought, well, it might take a year or two, but could we farmers do something besides soybeans?
Well, should we raise wheat? I just said a little bit ago that I quit raising wheat. Well, the reason why I quit raising wheat is because there's no money in it.
I see.
It costs just about as much to raise an acre of wheat as it does an acre. You for sure have as much. The fertilizer on an acre of wheat is the same as the fertilizer on an acre of corn. Soybeans don't have them. You don't have to fertilize soybeans. The price of seed is higher. Say soybeans are, let's just use an average number, maybe $55 an acre for the seed. Wheat, if you have your own, if you don't buy certified seed every year, but I buy a lot of certified seed every year to try and stay away from some problems I think happen. But that could get up to $36 an acre not this last year. And corn seed runs about $95 an acre. But then if you say we should pivot, well, what should we pivot to? Pinto beans? You can't give pinto beans away now, because there's more acres, because a lot of guys did pivot to that. You literally cannot sell them.
So it's not quite as simple as in my little head, because it's really about a global market, and we overproduce. In other words, because if the market's not there, nobody's buying. and there's no magic ball, and the government lets you decide what you're going to do. They'll create policies to try to encourage a direction, right? But at the end of the day, you decide what you're going to put in the ground.
Right. I mean, and it's like different areas, different climates have different crops that you can raise. You know, obviously we can't raise strawberries up here. I mean, we have wheat, flax. You know, people don't raise much flax. We have a lot of diverse crops in this state that we're the #1 egg producer of, but that doesn't mean there's any money in the other ones. And I got into a Facebook thing I don't like Facebook. I think it's part of what's wrecking this country. Because I was actually just jabbing because I knew one guy, friend of mine, market analyst, would see it and he'd come back at me. I knew if I threw that little piece of meat out there, he'd pounce on it. But you can't, things are just way more complicated than people think. You know, one guy came back and said, well, we need to find different export markets. Well, I don't know how it is in the burrito business, but if you're selling burritos to Walmart, you certainly don't want to lose Walmart and have to go out and find 15 guys to make up Walmart.
Yeah. So that's really what you're talking about with China and the pivoting away into policy. Now, we have not got to farm subsidies and the idea of the crop insurance and not having a cap. But we got to go to the break. We come back, we are going to start with that. So We've been talking to Lance Hagen, Burleigh County farmer, Lincoln developer. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Base Flug Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Flug Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Come on in and experience small-town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Yeah, U.S. Cattlemen is a member organization that each member has a vote in anything we do with policy. We're representing the independent cattleman or the cow-calf guy or an independent feeder or whatever. We like to support the independent producer. We're talking about mandatory ID, we're talking about cool, we're talking about all the legislation that's going to be coming down with the new administration. There's going to be lots of moving and shaking. So always check us out at our website, uscattleman.org.
I'm $27,000 in credit card debt.
Okay.
You have to radically do something different, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Now's not the time to be doing math. The time to be doing math was when we didn't go into $200,000 of debt.
If you are freaked out and you're stuck in these debt payments and you think it has to be a part of your life, it doesn't.
We are Ladies of Another View. Join us every weekday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. as we discuss the big topics from North Dakota, the nation, and around the world.
We chat with everyone from celebrities and medical professionals to politicians, local business owners, and neighbors about the topics and stories that affect all of us.
We are unscripted and uncensored real news from real people. So join us every weekday morning for Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Welcome back to Open Range. Talking to Lance Hagen, Bismarck, Burleigh County farmer, rancher, developer around Lincoln. So Lance, last segment I wanted to get to like crop subsidies and crop insurance and the fact that there's no caps. it's really moved the small communities. It's been hard on them because the farmers have gotten bigger with bigger equipment. So towns like Ellendale, and I'm in Washburn, so we have the benefit of the power plant. If they shut down Coal Creek, Rainbow didn't bail that out, we'd have big trouble up there. But when you take agriculture market, the idea that the government has kind of incentivized and forced everyone, and maybe it's world economy, to just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So now you don't have 3 generations of people staying at the farm, ranching, running cattle, etc.
Well, it's cost a unit production, But I also think, and like I maybe mentioned the last time I was on the show with you, unfortunately for Senator Hoven, he had to fly with me from Minneapolis next to me last winter one day, and we were kind of iced in, so we had to spend 45 minutes on the runway too. And I mentioned, or on the taxiway, I mentioned to Senator Hoven, I said, the Ellendales and the Wishicks and the Ashleys and the Glen Allens, wherever, not capping crop insurance has had a huge effect on those, because in the early, up until, I know in the 2004 Farm Bill, when we had direct payments, things like that, we capped that. And a lot of people only farmed up to that level. Now, those programs don't mean anything anymore. The PLC and the ARC, you really don't think about that when you're farming. You think about what crop insurance is. And by having an unlimited cap on crop insurance subsidies, that's hurting our rural communities. I don't care what anybody says, because farms are getting bigger. Guys are buying more and more and more. Bulk, buying direct. Bigger guys are all seed salesmen now. I mean, it's not good for rural communities.
Talk a little bit about crop insurance and what that really means. So I'm an average Joe sitting in Bismarck or town, and I don't know anything about farming. Crop insurance, explain what that means. I mean, is it more than just hail insurance coming out? I mean, so what does that mean?
So crop insurance back in the old days, it wasn't any good. That's why we had such a farm crisis in the 80s, because all crop insurance coupled was bushels. Now crop insurance covers revenue and bushels. So like if the price gets fixed in February, which it does, it's kind of a complicated formula. I'm going to skip over that. But it'll fix a price in the month of February, like on the September contract on wheat. And it fixes that price at, say, $6 or whatever. Well, that's what your floor is on your crop insurance yield. I don't want to complicate it too much.
But to make it simple, but just simplify it. If it was $6 and it's $4, you got a delta
paid on the revenue.
So that helps you cover your, because you got such high input costs. So it allows you to take that risk, but you can look at it in February when you get locked in.
Right.
And that's what you pay on.
But I think that I don't know, call me a Democrat or call me an ultra-conservative on this issue. Rick Becker was on here talking about wanting to do away with crop insurance here on your show 2-3 years ago. And I called you or texted you right away. I said, that's not the answer, Gary, to do away with it, because we have to have a stable farm economy to have, cheap food in this country. But we also don't need the United States taxpayer subsidizing, and I don't know what the level is. I think in different areas of the country you need to have different average sized farms that support those communities. And I think the average taxpayer, if they knew they were subsidizing these farms at multi-millions of dollars, would go bananas. But every time you listen to somebody on, crop insurance, that's crop insurance, everybody goes, no. Crop insurance is subsidized by the taxpayer, and it never allows younger people that are not connected to agriculture to get into it. And it doesn't do any good as one guy that farms 2,000 acres or whatever it is quits, and the guy that's farming 10,000 acres eats the 2,000 up, because that's just more product that's coming in bulk from out of that community.
And so that's really, and so there are farmers that are farming 10, 20,000, 30,000 acres, aren't they? I mean, that was a phenomenon years ago, was not the case.
No, but I think that's part of life too. We all become more efficient and more bigger.
But if you got the price of a combine that's $500,000 or $1 million, I mean, you can only go so far with the price of machinery where you got to spread it out and amortize it out and appreciate it out. So more acreage is just the way it works.
But maybe you don't buy a $500,000 combine. Maybe you got a bunch, and maybe that's John Deere and Caterpillar and everybody else promoting this no cap on crop insurance. Maybe you buy a $250,000 combine and that guy is out there and he farms.
I got you.
He farms 3,000 acres or 2,000 acres.
And you're saying the policy, because of no cap.
That's why there's nobody in our schools anymore, Gary, and Cullum and Allendale and everywhere else.
Because there's all big farmers. There's nobody else.
And there's no incentive.
And how do you make a living in these small towns?
I'm as guilty as anybody. I'll guarantee you. Somebody comes up, I got a young guy that I don't have my daughter, I just have one daughter and she's not going to farm. I have a young guy that's worked for me for years. And he's going to take over, hopefully, my renters and things like that. And I'll guarantee you, if 2,000 acre comes up next year, we'll be after it. But if there was an incentive, because that's just the nature of the beast, we're all getting bigger. And there's no cap on crop insurance subsidies.
Interesting. And that's the tune of...
And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars for not a very big farm.
Well, I recall a number of years ago when Jack Dalrymple was governor, where they actually had... they listed the people that got the most, and Dalrymple Farms, it was like in the millions or 1 or 2 million. But this was 15 years ago, so that number's through the roof by now.
That wasn't crop insurance. That was maybe disaster payments or something else. Crop insurance is a
totally different monster.
Nobody wants to talk about that, but I guarantee you that is hurting our small communities because we're all getting bigger. And I know from a fact, when I was farming in the 90s, when the cap was $50,000 and crop insurance was kind of, RA insurance was new, Lance farmed up to $50,000 worth of that direct payment, and then he quit.
And that number's a lot higher today for you.
Well, in crop insurance, there is no number.
Yeah.
The sky is the limit.
I see. So that's why.
And that's what the deal is.
I got you.
So if you cap crop insurance, it said, all right, a farm should get, I don't know what the number is in different areas. If you say, well, the federal government's going to subsidize your crop insurance for $200,000 or $300,000 or whatever, and then if you want to farm anything above that, have at it.
That's your.
I guarantee you that's going to
change a lot.
That's going to change the
it would drop down,
of the beast.
Of course, and it would take prices down. The land prices would drop a little bit, I suppose.
I don't know why. We're all renting land from guys that are buying as investment. I've never seen anything like it. People are going, oh, I'm getting a 1% return on my money. I got to buy some farmland. Getting 1% off that or 1.5%. What kind of investment is that?
But the land keeps going up in value.
Right,
so
but at some point, I saw this in the 80s when land in Dickey County went from $250 to $535 an acre, and then all at once it went back to $265, and guys like me had no cash to buy it.
So what's that price of that land today that you just?
Oh my God, it's insane. I've seen land in Emmons County in the last last 2 months sold for $7,000 to $7,100 an acre. Land down in Ellendale where I grew up, you couldn't probably touch a decent piece of farmland for $7,000.
$7,000, and you're talking $300, $400.
I saw land in Lemoore County sell the other day for $8,500 or $8,560, whatever.
Are they all out of state people, or are they in-state people?
No,
or
it's generational wealth. I think from years past. I mean, people my age that went through the 80s that had land at $300 an acre, and now it's worth
$7,000.
Not here, not in Burleigh. But it depends. Burleigh County is a different animal too. You get it used to be you get anywhere inside of Minokan. That was not farmland. That was
cows.
That was people buying 40 acres to go out there and have their horse.
Oh, okay.
That's maybe a doctor. They got 2 jobs or something like that. Now I think that has definitely moved to Mackenzie, and it may have moved to Sterling.
Wow, that's incredible.
Because people, you want to buy a lot in South Bay, it's $450, or not South Bay, Whispering Bay, it's $450,000 to buy a lot to put your $2 million home on. Well, not everybody wants to own a boat, so they're maybe married a wife or somebody who liked horses, and they're like, well, let's buy 40 acres 10 miles east of town.
20-minute drive into town. That's not a big deal. People work remote. And so let's pivot just briefly. Let's talk about the government shutdown. What's your thoughts on that?
It's crazy.
Have you? I haven't
It's
noticed
like,
anything at all. I've
Well,
not
I
noticed.
mean, but are you? Yeah, well, you haven't noticed it. We haven't noticed it. But it's like when people get elected to go to D.C. I'm going to go to D.C. and I'm going to work and I don't blah 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 blah. You mean to tell me that for the last 5 weeks, the United States House of Representatives has had absolutely nothing that they should be doing? Nothing? No committee hearings? No nothing? I mean, come on.
I actually
There's
think
a
it's
lot.
probably. I think you should shut it
No.
down for about 6 months. We could probably get away with it.
I'm going to tell you what part of the
I'm
problem.
kidding. I'm kidding. I don't
No.
necessarily mean that. I'm joking.
No, there's too many things. You know, we've argued over immigration and things like that for years. Nobody does anything about immigration. I mean, Rand Paul, I can't decide if I have a love-hate relationship with that guy because a lot of his stuff, I'm like, are you crazy? But I just watched him yesterday on one of the Sunday shows, and he voted against the Republican package, Rand Paul, and he voted against the Democrat package. And John Fetterman, a Democrat from Pennsylvania, voted for the Republican package. But I didn't know this because part of the problem in politics is everybody gives you the talking points. And these people have become professionals going on TV. And they go to an interview, and it's a very simple question. Do you agree with or not? Well, if they don't like the question, they go down the rabbit hole and spend 3 minutes because the longer they are on there talking about
They're
that stuff,
filibustering.
they're filibustering.
Yep, filibustering.
Nobody, Rand Paul does not do that.
I love that about Rand. I mean, I do think he can't be knowing everything. But we're
But
going to go to the
let me
break.
tell you
We're
what-
going to
okay.
go to the break. We're going to come back, and we're going to spend the last segment talking politics. So we've been talking to Lance Hagen, Lincoln developer here at Burleigh County Farmer. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I want to tell you, Lady Blue and I, we got a lot of miles together, but you know what? You and I got a lot of miles together as well. And all I want to do is bring to you the information on how we maintain a domestic supply of food and fuel for future generations. So I'm going to continue to travel the world and unearth the stories that make it possible that we can live in a free United States of America.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza. Are you dealing with arthritis, nerve and back pain, dry skin, or superficial wounds, but found no relief? Give Stewart's Natural Health a try. For over 4 decades, Stewart's Natural Health has been helping people and animals with herbal and natural oil lotions, ointments, and creams with a mission to help you relieve pain and feel your best using the power of nature. Discover the safe, drug-free solution to your pain, guaranteed or your money back. Visit stewartsnatural.health today.
West River Equipment of Mandan is here to help you maintain peak productivity in your operation. As an authorized dealer for many high-quality equipment lines, we have the new and used equipment it takes to make your farming, ranching, or construction operation profitable and efficient. West River Equipment also has the parts on hand and the experienced technicians in our shop to get your equipment back in action fast. Find what you need at West River Equipment on Old Red Trail in Mandan.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
Since 1980, Circle Sanitation has been providing exceptional waste hauling services to every customer, big or small. Whether you just need reliable weekly pickup, roll-off containers for major projects at home or the construction site, or your needs are somewhere in between, Circle Sanitation has you covered. We're a locally owned family business and currently seeking dependable men and women to add to our team. Wages are competitive and benefits comprehensive. Call us today or visit circlesanitation.com.
Welcome back to Open Range. Talking to Lance Hagen, Lincoln developer, Burleigh County farmer. So Lance, before that, we were talking about Rand Paul. I mean, Rand gets out there on issues, you know, and he's libertarian, and he's not his father's son, for sure, but he is more that than Republican and Democrat. He's got that libertarian bent. Let's finish up with him. So what's your thought on
Well, yeah, you're right. And that's what, you know, like you said, Lance is more liberal than me. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. Lance is a lot more conservative on a lot of issues than you are, too. And so Rand Paul, I didn't know this. I mean, I follow politics. I thought all the Republicans voted against voted for the Republican bill that was brought forward to keep government open. No, he didn't. Because we're out here in the dark and all these talking points come out, and he's a pretty straightforward guy. He said, I voted against it because it raises the debt $2 trillion. That's why he voted against the Republican one. And he said, I voted against the Democrat one because it raises the debt $3 trillion.
Wow.
And I bet you that the majority of us people that are in politics are going, well, the Republicans, we're going to save money and we're not going to, you know. No, that bill raises the debt $2 trillion.
So, I mean, I take the shutdown where the Democrats are concerned about this rural, you know, health care, and they want to keep subsidizing it. But that all came in around the COVID era, you know, leading up to that, where all those subsidies went into it. And there's a point that the Obama, you know, drove insurance prices through the roof. And now we have to live with the consequences. And Democrats say, we got to spend it, we got to subsidize it. It's going to kill rural America and all these poor families. And I mean, we may do, but I don't know if our health care has gotten any better with all the premiums I'm paying.
No, but I don't know what the problem is either. That is a big issue. I think I have friends. It makes me mad. I talked to one of my best. If it wouldn't have been ag-related business and another farmer, they never carried health insurance until the Obamacare came in. And now all at once, they're big conservative Republicans, and they would have never got, well, I was carrying health insurance, paying my premium every month. Those guys were out there saving that money, doing whatever they had to do, live or make machine repayments or whatever. And now they're all like big conservative Republicans.
Yep.
Yeah, well, wait a minute.
We need to
You
have
can't have, I mean, you know, there's somebody back in your thing back there, but we shouldn't, and I don't know this for a fact. That's what bugs me about politics and people. All we do is regurgitate talking points. And I agree with, what's her name from Alabama was on the other day. She says, we need to stop subsidizing people that earn $1 million, make $1 million. Well, I don't think anybody, no, you've got enough money. Maybe you should just, you know, I mean,
100%.
But I also don't think that we should be subsidizing lazy people that aren't getting jobs. But the problem, I think, in Washington, Gary, I watched a great show the other night. It had Jim Jordan on it, had the Tennessee guy talks,
was that kind of the debate? The
yeah,
open
that
forum?
Cuomo
What was
had.
your take? What was your take
It
on
was
that?
great. They had Jim Jordan. They had John Fetterman on there. They had what's his name from Virginia? I know his name as well as my own.
Manchin, they had
Joe Manchin on. They had Bill O'Reilly on. They had Stephen A.
So
Smith.
what was their conclusion? I mean, what are they saying? Are they wanting us to try to get along?
Well,
I mean,
I don't think so. That doesn't.
Give me your take.
My
on it.
take
was
is
it just for ratings or what?
No, I don't think. I think you want ratings, you go to MSNBC or you go to Fox News. You know, where each one's promoting to their base. You know, they were trying to actually, I think, do something. And Joe Manchin mentioned something that I see happening in North Dakota too. But I mean, we don't have any. But we have the rhinos, and then we have the other team.
Yeah.
And so those people don't intermingle much anymore. And Joe Manchin said something that stuck with me because I remember when Rick Berg was a congressman, Rick said, we don't get anything done out there. And that's my point on 5 weeks off too. So they fly into DC for a Monday vote at 5:30. And then they're expected, Manchin was saying this, and then we're expected to spend part of the time we're in DC calling people raising money for our PACs. And then he said Thursday at noon, we're all headed for the airport. So what happens is there's no it's hard to hate someone that you know. It's easy to hate someone that you don't know. He's like, there's no intermingling anymore as far as it's the skins and the shirts. And that's it. And I think that's what's wrong with government right now. I see that happening at the legislature with the factions in our party. You know, it's like, I went to a Republican fundraiser, House fundraiser. You walk in the door and it's like, oh my God, who do I sit with? Do I sit with this team or do I sit with that team? Because that team will be mad if I sit with this team, and this team will be mad if I... That's not my deal.
Yeah.
I've always been, you know, I mean...
Well, you've got along with a lot of people because you lobbied and you understood you have to work together. It's a give and take. And we move beyond give and take anymore. It's my way or the highway. And I mean, Trump's actually, you know, emboldening people even further because of his strong-arm tactics and shutting the government down like that's gone on. That's not on him, but the whole idea is... So many of us have just gotten fed up. We just say,
I'm fed up with politics.
I haven't talked politics on my show in 2-3 months. I hardly care about it because I'm going like, what good does it do? Oh, we just sit and bark about the same stuff.
Right, and I think part of it is what I just talked about, and I've always thought that for the last 10 years. But I think Joe Manchin kind of drove it home to me. I'm like, really? Did they actually fly? I knew they flew in on Monday and flew out. I thought they flew out on Friday, but I guess they fly out on Thursday. And I have friends that say, well, they should just vote from their offices here in North Dakota. Well, we got staff for all that stuff when people have problems. They need to get to Washington, D.C. and forget about doing these talking points and actually do some stuff. And I understand, you know, I mean, you got to get seniority and things like that. But I think it's just, it's pathetic.
Talk to us about something. You said you went to the government website. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, I went, so before the show, because I think USDA, you know, we're talking about making the Fed upgrade the way it gets data and that. I'm going to tell you the most antiquated thing in the world is the USDA website. So last night I went to see when the final plannings report and some of that comes out, and this is what I found.
So due to radical left Democrat shutdown, this government website will not be updated during the funding lapse. President Trump has made it clear he wants to keep the government open and support those who feed, fuel, and clothe the American people. That's fairly partisan.
No, yeah, I know, but what good does that do? I mean, I wanted to go on there so we could talk, because I wanted to talk a little bit about how USDA their data should be updated. I can't remember the date, and I don't like to talk about those things if I don't know what I'm talking about. And it seemed to me like, you know, we get the final plannings report, doesn't come out till the end of September, or maybe it's even the 1st of January. It's crazy. We all report our acres to the FSA office by July 15th. There is absolutely no reason in the world why that data can't be out by August 15th, and we know exactly what it is. Because there's not that many people in this country that don't farm without the FSA office.
Well, and just to keep the website up, I mean, it's not a big deal.
Come on.
Websites aren't going to... There's websites... I got websites that have been up for years that I just pay the $50 a month and I still got it up, you know.
You go through the airport and Kristi Noem's on there talking tough, and we're gonna boot your ass out of here for, you know, and it's like, seriously.
But you got to admit what Trump's done with the immigration. I mean,
I agree.
He just shut it down. And
in here.
This is kind of funny. In Phoenix, very high Latino base, a lot of Mexicans, or I don't want to call them illegals, but plenty of legals and illegals live in Phoenix area where I lived for a number of years. And it's like a ghost town in some areas because they're all hiding. Restaurants are down. Yeah. People are going like, I don't want to end up somewhere. And they've created this weird panic fear for people that are legitimate, but they might be married to an illegal. Or there's all these issues that have created. But how do you deal with it if you just don't get tough and just say, I'm done with it?
That's what I said. That's what I said. You mean to tell me, Rand Paul said, this pathway to citizenship, it takes 6 to 10 years to get pathway to citizen. I have a friend of mine from Canada. Took him 10 years to become a United States citizen. And all kinds of stuff. You know, he got his green card and that. But my point is, so we've been talking about immigration and that kind of stuff for years. Yeah. I mean, 20 years. You mean to tell me that they can't be doing something in Washington, D.C. and the House of Representatives to address that? Rand Paul made a statement here about 2 months ago. Pathway to citizenship takes too long. He said we need to figure out how to vet good people to have them come to this country to work. Because I will guarantee you, the next time you're driving down the street over here and you're looking for people on a shovel from Prairie View or one of the land, it's very hard to find any white kids doing that.
I've talked to a friend who's a developer, builds houses, into trades, the sheetrockers, and it's hard to get projects even done right now because they're all either went back home or they're hiding, or they've just said a lot of Latinos, Mexican that do that work from Mexico or other parts of South America that we talked when we started the show, you going to Brazil, has just really shut down. And they're having a hard time now actually doing work here in Bismarck, North Dakota,
Absolutely.
Which is shocking.
Well, I went past, I think they were doing the overpass here about a month ago, and they had a cement truck backed up there. And there was 2 Latinos. And they were dumping the cement, and they had to pitch it. And then I went to the truck stop for breakfast the other morning on a Saturday, and everybody that was doing cement was Latino. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't hard-working white guys out there, but I'll guarantee you we need to, you go find me 10 kids at BHS that want to do that.
Yeah, that's a fact. Well, Lance, as always, it's good to have you on. I want to talk to you for sure that you're going to Brazil when you get back. We want to have you back, talk about your Brazil, so make sure you take some pictures.
Good to see
having
you,
you.
buddy.
Thanks for having you on, Lance. So we've been talking to Lance Hagen, Burleigh County farmer, Ellendale boy, politically been involved for a long time, but we appreciate him coming on, giving his perspective on all these things. I'm your host, Gary Emina. Thanks for watching.
Now you can have the personalized forecast at your fingertips when you need it. Beck's exclusive Weather Insight is information tailored to you. Radar, weather alerts, forecasts, and videos. Download the free Weather on Beck News app. Search your app store now.
Come on in and experience small town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. The Set Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Hi, I'm Scott Hennon, host of the What's on Your Mind program on Beck TV now. From Baker, Montana to St. Cloud, Minnesota, and everywhere in between, we're looking forward to having a conversation with you about what matters most. We're talking to newsmakers from members of Congress to the state legislature, and most importantly, the good folks that make up the great state of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana. Every single day, you get a chance to tell us what's on your mind. And now you can watch What's on Your Mind live on Beck TV. Tune in 10 a.m. live for What's on Your Mind.
We are Ladies of Another View. Join us every weekday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. as we discuss the big topics from North Dakota, the nation, and around the world.
We chat with everyone from celebrities and medical professionals to politicians, local business owners, and neighbors about the topics and stories that affect all of us.
We are unscripted and uncensored real news from real people. So join us every weekday morning for Ladies of Another View on Beck.